Hey Coding House, welcome back to the channel. This video we are going to talk about asynchronous operations in JavaScript. One of the most important in the journey we have started where we are leading up to the JavaScript you should know for React and Angular. And let's start with a story today. So consider this is a typical Sunday morning in your house, and we know the mothers are busiest on a Sunday morning. So here I'm going to create an analogy where you are a callback function where your mother is a JavaScript thread. JavaScript is a single threaded model. It will wait for no one. Now, as you can see on the infographic what I have created, there's a mother. She's busy. What are the planned tasks for her today is watering the plants. Then she have put some food inside a pressure cooker, and she again needs to do some laundry. So in this whole scenario, our mothers are like a JavaScript thread. They will keep on going and they cannot keep waiting. Like if they cannot stop. Same way a JavaScript thread cannot stop. So here you can see my mother is watering the plant. Now, watering the plant requires no feedback or there is nothing related like a callback. That task is done, it's done. But now, imagine this is what happens here. She will put some food in the cooker. Now, she cannot stand there for another half an hour till that four whistles or six whistles happen. So, this is where you come into the picture, right? She asks you, you know what? Can you please count the whistles and let me know? So, in a way, you have been assigned as a callback function. Now, she will go ahead do her job of the laundry, and that laundry machine have that alarm beeper, right? That after 30 minutes it will go off. So that alarm beeper is like a callback. Now, remember one thing: in this scenario, what will happen? She have assigned you a task. She will not ask you to go and take care of that pressure cooker. You are supposed to do that, but what you are doing, you are waiting for that event to complete, like six whistles, eight whistles. After that, you let her know, okay, this is done. She'll come back, take care of it, complete the part after it. Like she needs to keep it for two more whistles or anything like that. So this is a very good analogy when it comes to understanding the asynchronous part in JavaScript, where your mother is like a JavaScript thread, you are a callback function. You just call back with some input, like based upon some event, you call back, and that's how it proceeds. I hope this has made understanding about this clear. And now let's jump into a simple example, try to understand that. So this is the ultimate result I am planning to approach. I will write a JavaScript code where it will have two functions. The first function will call the database and get me the name of the GitHub user. I will pass on that name to the second user, which will pass it on to GitHub and get me the repos it has inside it. So this is something I'm planning to achieve. And let's start with where we can face those problems. Let's create the problem statement. Like what is the problem statement? And there are three solutions to this I'm going to discuss on. So let's start with the first one. Let's say console log before. Okay. Then I say console log after. So this is like watering the plants. This will happen straight away. I'm going to write a function. Let's say get user, but I'm considering that when you make the call to the database, that call is not going to be returned back quickly. I'm considering, let's say there is a 3-second time required for getting that call back. So what I do here, let's say get user, I pass you the ID and I want the GitHub user for this particular user. What am I doing is I'm making use of set timeout, which is nothing but a, yeah, and it will take 3 seconds. And what exactly this will do here is after 3 seconds, it will return me the ID of the user. Yeah. So I'm trying to emulate that this particular function will take some time. So it will say reading ID from the database and it return, let's say, an object that git user is equal to, and I say id colon 1001 and username colon code with z. It's my GitHub user, and then I return this git user. Okay. Then I return this git user, and this is returned after 3000 milliseconds, which is I'm trying to emulate 3 seconds here. And what I do, I'll put this between before and after. That I want the ID. So let's say const, what is the user object I'm getting back? So I'll say get user, and I pass them 1001 is the ID. I want the git user ID for this. So which will be passed on to me, or I can simply emulate the ID I am getting from them. Then I'll say console log the user object which I am getting. Yeah, the user object which I am getting. So after this, if I try to execute, let's see, this is like a problem statement. I say node problem statement. See, before undefined, and after 3 seconds, it started working on this. So what has actually happened is console log worked fine because we made the call at that time. It didn't return anything. It told me undefined and it went off. But based on this, if I try to print the value of user, it is undefined. I cannot use it for the further scenarios. Like what is the scenario? I will get the ID from the database. I will use that ID here in this function statement. And then I should be getting it back so that I can pass it ahead until unless I am not able to achieve this. This is useless. So the idea is I have an asynchronous situation where, see, I don't mind before and after getting executed, but I should get the user object inside my user so that I can pass it ahead, because my next call is going to be const repos is equal to, and I will be creating a function get repos for user, and then I will pass this user from GitHub. And this is what I am trying to get. So if I pass an undefined here, obviously the repositories I'm going to get next from this will be of no use. So this is a problem, and the solution to this are in 3 ways. There are 3 solutions to this. First, make use of something called as callback functions. Second is we will make use of concept called as promises. And third is where I will make use of something called as async await. Okay. So this will be a 2 video series where this video I'll talk about the callbacks, and the second one will talk about promises and async await, how easier it becomes to work with them. So let's jump into the callback solution. So I am creating a new file here. Let me call it as one async one with callbacks. And I will copy paste my problem statement so that I will be able to replicate and work on this. So see, this was the problem. Now the solution to this is in JavaScript, you are allowed, rather than returning this to any other function, we can pass, like our mother enabled us, like, okay, you call me back. So same way, we'll give this function something called as a callback. Yeah. That whenever you're done fetching this, don't don't do anything, don't return it anywhere, just call it back to the place I am asking you to. So this is what we add up in a callback function. Okay. So here I say callback, and this callback will pass me on something called as my git user. Now, what I do, I create another function which is going to act as a callback function. So here in my get user, I will be passing 2 things. This, and then I pass the reference to my callback function. Okay. So here, let's do what? Create a function callback function where the ID is returned. See, I am keeping it quite simple, and this is the git user object which we should be getting. And here I can do what? Console log. I want a place where I can do my further process. So I'm just printing you get user, and I'll just tell here this is my callback function. Okay. This is my callback function. So what am I going to do next? This is my reference to the callback function, right? See, the whole process, what we have done here is I have a function which is doing some asynchronous task. Rather than returning from this function, I am telling them whenever you are done, call back. Callback where? To the function I am calling. So this is the reference. So I will replace this reference with callback method, callback function where the ID is returned, which is nothing but this function. So what will happen when this get user function is done with its processing, rather than returning from here and getting into an unnecessary workaround, what will happen? The process will be followed now. See, so we won't be getting the value back here, but we will be getting the value back in our callback function where we will be able to get that get user, and that is the first part of my execution. So what we do here is I called get user, I pass the ID and I pass the reference to the function which was being called here. So this way, what will happen? I will get that get user back, and this get user will be printed. So let's try to execute this part first, and we are trying the solution which is the async node 1 callback. Now before we execute, we will have to do a bit of a cleanup. First thing, this is not going to return a user anymore, so I'll take this off, and obviously it is not returning, so we cannot print it. Next is this is something I was just trying out, so not using it here. Next, what will happen? I will execute. This will run, before and after will run straight away. Then it will make the call to this get user. Get user will take its 3 seconds. After it is done, it will pass whatever user it has retrieved. It will pass on to whom? To the function we have asked to. So we will get the control here, and we can start further processing from this part. So let's do what? Node async callback. See, before after got executed. Now this time after 3 seconds, it is calling from the callback function, and I received the ID here. See, this is good. Rather than getting an undefined, we got a good ID here. This was something very important. We have done that. Next is we need to understand from this, I have another function, because the ultimate aim is what? I got the data from the callback which I received the ID. Now I need to pass it to the next function, which from where I will be getting my repositories. So we are creating a callback links. Next, what we will do is function. Now, obviously, if you remember from this point, if I took 3 seconds to retrieve the data from database, I might need another 3 seconds to get the data from the GitHub repo, right? So once I received my ID, then only I should be able to make this call. So what I do here, function get repos for git user, and here I pass the git user object. And from this, again, I'm emulating that I will be creating a set timeout where this will execute after, let's say, 5 seconds. It will take 5 seconds. And what are we trying to execute here? We say console log fetching repos from github.com, let's say. And it is also taking its own sweet time. Then I said const repos. I'm creating an array. What is this? Repo 1, repo 2. These are just the generic name. Repo 3. And then I return. For now, I'm doing what? I'm returning the repos again. And then what will I do? After so where will I call it? See, I cannot call it from here. I cannot call it from here, because get user, the transaction is passing on where? To my get user enabled. Then from get user, it is calling to the callback. From this callback, because this is the place where I have the get user, what will I do? Fetching the repos from GitHub, let's say for, and let me attach the ID, which is GitHub user dot username, and then comma. Okay, this way it will tell me that it is getting the value for that GitHub user, and it is returning the repo. So this time, from where will you call this? After you get the value in the callback, because before that it does not make any sense, and it will be passing on undefined, which will again return undefined. So I do what? Get repos for git user here, and I pass the git user object. So what am I expecting here? Is I'm expecting the repos. So I'll say const repos is equal to this. And if I print it here now, do you think so I'm going to get the output straight away? Yep. So if I say repos after this. I am expecting undefined. Let's see what happens. Before, after, the first call is made. So I got the value from the undefined. It will happen. See, after 5 seconds, it is fetching the repositories from github.com for code with Z. It reached there. So where does it brings us now? It brings us now to another situation where whatever is returned from here, and you're thinking it correct, I need another callback now, because when this function executes itself, by the time the previous execution has completely happened, if you want the output from this method to be relevant, you will have to make sure that you create another callback. So for doing that, what will you do? Function callback function, where this time I will say callback function where repos are returned. Yeah, where repos are returned. And I will accept the repos and I will say console log repos, comma, repos. This way, what will happen? So rather than returning it here, what will I have to say? I'll say, please pass it to the callback. Please pass it to the callback, where I pass this one and I pass this one. And then you will again, whenever you call this, you will have to accept a callback function. And from this callback, you will tell them where repos are returned. So this way, what will happen exactly is, from the first, when you get the value back into this git user, it will call another function which requires another callback. Why? Because it is also an asynchronous task. So this way you pass the git user, but you also pass the reference of the function where repos should be written, which is another function here where I am printing my repositories. And this way, if I, this is the, now I should be able to get my output. See, this is still undefined. I should take that out console log. But this time it will pass to another function and see. I got repos 1, repos 2, repos 3. So this process where inside one callback, when you're calling another callback, see, this is one callback. From this callback, I had to call function where there was another callback. This is also called as callback hell. And this is the problem we are going to solve going ahead with the concepts of promises and async await, which are much better approach to this one. So this was the first video in our series of asynchronous JavaScript for React. And do share, like, share, and subscribe. This is, if you like this video, please subscribe and click on that bell icon so that you're notified when we put up the part 2 for this particular video. Thank you for watching. And yeah. So this was video 1 in our series of async await. Next video we will be. So this was first video. So this was the first video in our series of asynchronous operations of JavaScript. Next video we will be talking about promises and async await, a very easy way to tackle this callback else. So if you like the video, please press that subscribe button, press the bell icon so you are notified when our next video drops in. Thank you for watching this video. Enjoy.